G'day Bomber fans, it is the penultimate day of the 2024 trade period. So little has happened this year in this trade period, which means these next 2 days are going to be pretty damn hectic for every club. I think every club still has a deal to negotiate, I believe, including us. We got trades left to finalise, so the next 2 days will decide a lot for our 2025 outlook and every team's 2025 outlook. It means you get another trade update because we have to revisit yesterday's trade, talk a bit about that pick swap. We need to talk about Jake Stringer, and we need to talk about some other random rumours that have been circling around in the last 24 hours. There is a bit to talk about today. I'll maybe see you later this afternoon if a Jake Stringer trade is finalised today. That would be very nice. Or if there's any more trade activity today. It's a potential double upload for the third day in a row. But for now, let's talk trade. This is the second to last trade update. Alright, let's start with Darcy Parish. So yesterday I was at my desk listening to trade radio, doing some research on the draft as I do when there is nothing going on. I had trade radio in one ear and the beautiful sounds of John Denver in the other. Don't ask why. I heard someone on trade radio call up about Darcy Parish and I thought that's a bit weird, but nothing to really think about. And then about 20 or 30 minutes later, I think it might have been, was it Sam Edmund maybe? I don't really remember. But they answered a text about Darcy Parish, so I was like, okay, what's going on here? I stopped what I was doing. I messaged some proper trade nerds to see if they had heard anything. I scoured the interweb. It turns out there is a random account that claimed Essendon were trying to secure pick 3 from the West Coast Eagles and that Darcy Parish was the centerpiece of this deal. I usually wouldn't include rumours like this in my video, unsubstantiated rumours, but this account has over 15,000 followers and the post has over 100,000 views at the time of filming, so I figured I kind of had to come here and talk about this. It's obviously gone to the stage where people have heard about this random rumour, or maybe someone saw it, told a friend, that friend told a friend, and down the line people start to think it's legit. This isn't happening. This is just a clickbait tweet. There isn't any confirmed truth to this story yet, and if there is actually a story here, I would be extremely surprised. Essendon, I believe, are not targeting pick 3 from the Eagles for starters. We're not trying to move up the order, and even if we were, we would not be trading Darcy Parish to do so. I don't think the Eagles would ever accept that trade anyway. It's a pretty laughable story, one that got a lot of attention. I mean, 100,000 views is a lot. Even if 1 in 100 believe it, that is still 1,000 people that think it's legit. For context, this account the same day broke news that Nat Fyfe was a trade target for North Melbourne. Haven't heard anything about that. There are always accounts like this who, I think they're trolling with jokey trade news, so there's not any truth to this one. I can safely say Darcy Parish will be at Essendon next year. We won't be coming for pick 3. And even if we did, Darcy Parish wouldn't be part of that deal. There is no way the Eagles would want Parish instead of pick 3 in this draft. That would just make not a lot of sense at all. This is kind of like last year when Archie Perkins was linked to Geelong. There are some pretty big Twitter accounts around that can't really be trusted too much. I wouldn't pay too much attention to these guys unless you want a bit of a laugh. Alrighty, now just touching a bit on that pick swap that occurred yesterday. You've probably already seen my video, but for those who haven't, we have traded pick 9 and a future third rounder to the Melbourne Demons. They sent us back picks 28, 40, 46, 54, 65, and a future first rounder as well. This means we now have enough capital to match a bid for Kako. It also means we have more capital in next year's draft to be active then, or even utilise next year's trade period. Or if we're feeling really funky, we can trade into this year's draft after the Kako bid. So just because we don't have an early capital or a first round draft pick right now, it doesn't mean that we won't walk away with a first round pick aside from Kako. This trade really, more than anything, has allowed us to be more flexible when attacking the draft, and it's given us a few different opportunities to make the most out of our now strong back-ended draft hand across 2 years even. Trading away pick 9 has actually given us more this draft from a points perspective than we had with pick 9, and that is excluding the future first we received for next year. So it's a trade that has put us in a really strong position across 2 seasons. Some aren't happy with it. I don't really know why. This is a no-brainer for us, to be honest. The Kako bid may not come before our first pick, that is pick 9. Even if it doesn't and it slides, we're still safer in this situation going into the night. But haters are going to hate, I guess. Rosa has earned quite a lot of fans from this trade, though. I like it a lot. It's the type of business we didn't really see under Dodoro much, so first trade, done and dusted. Hopefully it's not the last. Alright, on to our next biggest story now, Jake Stringer. Now, this is seen as not a sure thing, but it's likely to happen now. Jake Stringer is in this point in time, he's likely to end up at GWS. Now, things can change. The last 2 days of the trade period are pretty crazy, but it would take something to go wrong for this trade to fall apart now. It's now, there is goodwill, it seems. There is not really much value with Stringer. I think this was clearly a second priority for Rosa, and I think it's also made easier to negotiate with our later picks now. Those new picks can be involved in the GWS trade. So GWS informally offered up pick 56 last week. We obviously want more, and there was a suggestion that we could package 56 and 53, but it's believed that Rosa did want 37 back, and of course he came out and said that Stringer is contracted and hinted that if we are properly compensated, or not properly compensated, he could come back and play for the club. I think those are probably just mind games, but now there are more ways to get this deal done with that new trade. We aren't just receiving 56 or 53, we can now send over later picks to get that 37 if we really want it. Even sending over pick 46 and Stringer for pick 37, I don't mind that. It just shows that there are more opportunities for a trade now that we have got that Melbourne swap done, and that is why everyone sees this one is happening. It's likely to be finalised maybe today, maybe tomorrow, who knows, but it'll probably get done now. I hope it does, at least. I'm manifesting this. I think we all want to see this one get done now. I'm going to be very worried about the club having to hold on to a player that doesn't want to be there next year, just for 1 year, and then he leaves us the next season for free. So yeah, I wouldn't mind us budging on this trade. Alrighty, and as always, we've got some more updates, some smaller updates for those who stuck around. So Curtis Taylor, North Melbourne delisted forward. That was a delisted North Melbourne forward. There we go. So his manager has confirmed that he is receiving some interest from AFL clubs after being delisted. Essendon are not named yet, but there are now theories that we are going to throw our hat in the ring to try and pick him up to replace Jake Stringer. And now I guess is a good time to talk about the delisted free agents. We will likely pick up 1 or 2 just because there are set to be some handy players available, and we may be lower on list spots, having not being able to trade for Finn McGuinness or Connor Stone. So Curtis Taylor will definitely be available. We've also been linked to Jake Constanti and Jackson Pryor, although those two are yet to be delisted. Josh Rotham and Tim Membry are 2 others we have been linked with, but they may still be listed next year. Back onto the draft. So with our Melbourne pick swap done, we've actually now given ourselves a late pick that can be used to match a bid on our other academy product, Jaden Newen. He is going to go late in the draft if he does go, and if we are to choose him and he goes unbidded on, we'll probably use our last pick to select him like we did with Jaden Davey back in 2022, but the option to match is there if we do want to take him. And finally, Sam Draper. He's probably the most talked about Essendon player right now aside from Jake Stringer, and it's not because he's leaving this year, it is because he becomes a restricted free agent next season, and he'll be hunted by the Adelaide Crows. So if the Crows are successful in their attempt to lure him back to SA, it will mean that Essendon will receive compensation through the free agency rules, and now we know compensation is completely broken, the rules, especially for restricted free agents, because the Crows would have to offer Draper a better contract than we do. If we match the contract, we force a trade. If not, we get compensation through the AFL rules, which would likely be band 1, because everybody's getting band 1 or 2 compensation. That would mean we could have 3 first-round draft picks next year, so keep a watch on that. Alright, and that is that. That is the second to last trade update for 2024. I'm going to release another one tomorrow morning. That will be the final trade update, and then on Thursday or Friday, I'll chuck out a trade period review, and then on the weekend, I might give myself a little break from posting for a while because I've been going pretty ham with it. We'll see. There's not long left now in the trade period, though. Make sure you like, subscribe to stay tuned, and of course, as always, go Bombers.